We got the Pokemon Direct last week.
We did.
We talked about that it was going to happen last week, but the Direct happened the day after the podcast.
Yes.
So we didn't get to actually report on what happened during it. But now we know what happened during it.
And knowing is half the battle.
So what happened was we got Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX.
Yes.
And the demo is out for free right now. Will, have you played it?
No.
Don't bother. It's not very good. At least I don't think so. I'm sure other people who have never played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon will think the same thing.
Yeah.
We also got word of some DLC. We're getting Pokemon Isle of Armor and Crown of the Queen. I made that up. I don't know if that's real.
It's not.
It is Isle of Armor.
Yes.
It's Crown something.
Yeah.
The Crown. I don't know what it's called. Well, that doesn't even have a confirmed release date.
Yeah.
Crown Tundra. The Crown Tundra.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the DLC.
Yes.
It's you need to buy the expansion pack and then you get both of them.
Yeah.
When they come out eventually.
It's like the same thing with Zelda.
Right.
For a while.
So instead of getting a Pokemon gun, or instead of getting a third game,
yes,
like we would normally get, or an ultra version of the same game, we're getting DLC.
Yes.
Now, I wrote down our predictions from last week.
Okay.
We said, why did I write no Pokemon Sleep? I think we said we said we should get some information on Pokemon Sleep. We did not.
We didn't get anything.
So we were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Some Pokemon Home integration. We were right.
Yes.
We learned about how Pokemon Home is going to integrate with Pokemon Sword and Shield a little bit. But that also, we said that we would need, that there's going to be previous gen Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Mm-hmm. With this new DLC or whatever. And we would need to know how Pokemon Home gets wrapped into that. And we did.
Yes.
So we got Pokemon Home integration, how it's going to bring in the old Pokemon and stuff. We also said something about Smash DLC. Because we knew we were due for some Smash DLC announcement. And we were like, it's possible we could get some Pokemon. And,
possible.
And they would put the two announcements together. Turns out that was the announcements weren't put together, but we're getting a
Smash DLC tomorrow.
We're getting a Smash DLC announcement tomorrow.
Yeah, which we'll talk more about later.
Yes. We still don't know if it's Pokemon or not. I don't think it's going to be.
No.
But we are getting Smash DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to take that one as... That was kind of just like, we were like, this could happen. We said we are not going to get a Let's Go Gold and Silver.
Which we did not get.
Yes. We also said we would not get an Ultra Sun, or an Ultra Sword, Ultra Shield, or a gun, which we did not get.
Right.
We did say...
Pokemon with a gun.
Yes, we did. We did say we would get DLC for Sword and Shield.
Yes.
So we hit that right on the head.
Mm-hmm.
And we also said, I also said, at least two of these will be right. And the DLC and the Pokemon Home integration were right.
Yes.
And I think this was kind of a joke, but you said something about Diamond and Pearl remake, and then you called it Blood Diamond and Evil Pearl.
Yeah.
So, some predictions... I mean, they were pretty generalized predictions. It could have the only thing that we actually nailed was the DLC.
Yeah,
because a lot of people were like, "No, we're not going to get DLC. They never do that."
Yeah, and then we got DLC, and everyone's mad that we're getting DLC.
Yeah, turns out Pokemon Sword and Shield's expansions continues to stoke Pokedex anger. Yeah, I wonder why. This is according to Polygon. Earlier this week, Pokemon Sword and Shield producer Junichi Masuda logged on to Twitter to thank fans for their nice messages. It was his birthday, and people were sending him all sorts of things, from photographs to fan art. But nestled amongst these celebratory messages was a new onslaught of critiques and demands from angry fans who disapproved of Game Freak's expansion plans for the Nintendo Switch exclusive. One fan responded to a birthday tweet by asking Masuda to explain why, in their view, Game Freak had removed old creatures from the games only to charge for them in the upcoming expansion pass. In actuality, you don't need to buy anything to get old creatures into your games. You just have to trade for them. Of course, expecting Masuda to explain this when Game Freak has been clear about what's possible is ludicrous. So what they're referring to is that in the Crown Tundra, there's going to be raids and stuff that bring in a lot of old Pokemon. They showed Mewtwo. They showed some old legendaries. Mm-hmm. So in order to get those in the new game, you would need the Crown Tundra. However, you can trade with somebody who has the Crown Tundra. Also, it kind of sounds like you can just move them over using Pokemon Home.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know what. Maybe you need. I don't know if you need the Crown Tundra expansion in order to move them over with Pokemon Home. But if you can trade them without having the Crown Tundra, like if I have Crown Tundra and I trade with you, you can still get it.
Yeah.
So why not? Why wouldn't you be able to bring it into Home, whether or not you have the Crown Tundra?
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Junichi Masuda responded to that person.
Yeah, this is the best.
He said, "It's a holiday today and it's a birthday. Can you let me relax?" Get wrecked. But he did respond with a short tweet that has now gone viral, and he said what I just said. Yeah. The fans simply told Masuda that they'd get back to it later. Rather than galvanizing fans into giving the man a break for at least a day, many of the top responses strike a similar vein as the initial complaint. There's the familiar hashtag #BringBackNationalDex hashtag sitting between various other jabs and retorts. Quote, "If we give this man another chance, he will just make even more BS excuses to cut content again."
Oh, a BS excuse. It's my birthday.
The conspiracy theory that expansions are actually content cut from the original release of a game is hardly unique to Pokemon. But given that the franchise has never had expansions before, it's the first time that video game fans can apply it to Pocket Monsters. While it's hard to say what motivates Game Freak to go this route, many developers opt for expansions to develop ideas that didn't fit into the scope of the original game, given constraints like set release dates. Expansions can also ensure that developers can continue to have jobs after a game is shipped, rather than being mercilessly laid off. I think Pokemon Company's pretty good at continuously having work.
Good, but mostly like Western developers, like when a game is finished, like they'll start working on DLC so that they don't get laid off.
I'm just going to skip through the article here. We got another tweet from a guy named A Drive who says, "There are multiple issues with Pokemon Sword Shield, including Sucker Punch glitching in VGC." I don't know what VGC is. Did they have an explanation of this? Thanks to Datamire's, fans can now purport to look at the code. For instance, fans swear that while Game Freak has released specific odds for encountering shiny Pokemon, the actual function doesn't work as advertised when the players chains 500 encounters in the hopes of releasing their rare encounter rates, increasing their rare encounter rates. Instead, players believe that the rates remain the same. Sucker Punch glitching in VGC. Instruct not working properly in VGC. Shiny encounter rates broken 3% of the time working, plus more. Are there any plans to patch the game? And then he adds Pokemon and Junichi Masuda.
VGC is Video Game Championships, apparently.
Oh, so like when they're doing like actual like tournaments?
Yeah. VGC is a yearly tournament created by the Pokemon Company in order to give video game players a large-scale in-game competition similar to what they have already for the trading card game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When we first got wind of when they did the whole DLC announcement, a lot of people thought that it was $30 for each game. And like I can understand where this could be misconstrued, but not by the people who misconstrued it. It was a lot of like influencers and journalists who should know better, who should look into it before saying something. It says it right on the screen. You have to buy the expansion pass, and the expansion pass is $30. And then you get both games. The only thing that could be confusing is that if you want it for Sword and Shield, you got to buy it twice.
Yeah.
But most people aren't going to do that. I have Sword. I'm only going to buy it for Sword. It's $30. I'm going to get Armor when that comes out, and then I'm going to get Crown Tundra when that comes out. And it's $30, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that is cheaper than if there was a Pokemon Gun or an Ultra Sword and Ultra Sealed. It's going to be smaller, potentially, but I can bring my Pokemon into it, which I'm much more happy with. I don't think I would have bought it if it was a third game.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to play the same game again. I'd much rather bring the Pokemon that I have already into that game. Also, I don't know if it's going to make as much money because it's a DLC instead of a new game.
Yeah.
When like a mom comes into the store to buy something for their kid,
they're
not going to buy an expansion pass. But I don't know. Nintendo has really good attach rates, and I'd imagine the Zelda DLC did really good for Nintendo. So I don't think they ever released numbers for that. So it's possible it could do just as good. I think it's better for us consumers because it's cheaper and we can continue playing the same game that we already like.
We don't have to go out and buy a totally separate game in order to keep the adventure going.
So I don't know. I don't get why people would be mad about this. I think this is very pro-consumer.
At this point, it just looks like they're looking for things to be mad at.
Right.
Because they're not following the template of other Pokemon games. And, because they're doing DLC rather than a third game, or possibly like an ultra version of the last game, there's going to be some, bumps along the way. But those bumps aren't acceptable to these people. They want their Pokemon games to be just like they've always been. Maybe, they look better, or, they're more like a Skyrim than a traditional Pokemon game. They want two things. They either want Skyrim or they want, the last few Pokemon games. And they don't want like anything else.
But this is, the game is still a major step up from the last Pokemon game.
Major step up. It's a huge game, relatively speaking. There's a lot to do in there. And it's a Pokemon game. It follows the formula pretty closely.
So I just beat the main game yesterday. Like I rolled credits, but there's a post game that has way more stuff.
Yeah.
So the game's not done yet, but I beat the Elite, their equivalent of the Elite Four.
Yeah.
And it gets freaking epic at the end.
I imagine. Yeah.
There's some battles going on where it's freaking awesome, and it feels awesome. Just like when we first did the Dynamax Pokemon.
Yeah.
When we first Dynamax, we were like, "This is freaking sick." Like I thought it was stupid until I did it, and I was like, "This is sick." And then AJ said, "Yeah, this is probably what they wanted the other Pokemons to feel like, except it's just text that explains it. You don't actually see it, and in this, you see it, and like stuff's going on. It's awesome."
Yeah.
So what if some of the animations are bad? Somebody told me, if you turn animations off, the game goes faster. And I was like, yeah, but then I turn animations off, and then everybody in the chat's going to go, this game looks so bad.
Yeah.
So even though it's not the prettiest game in the world, it still looks light years better than the previous Pokemon games.
Absolutely.
So I don't understand what everybody was expecting.
Yeah.